Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. I'm very late today. I have had a chaotic last few days. I actually feel like I was just here. So I appreciate anybody who is here this morning late. So we'll just go with whoever is here. We'll be taking a look at the Draw Steel book. I feel like I feel like time has passed rather quickly, I suppose, between our last morning grind and this morning. Yeah, it feels kind of weird, but maybe it's because I was missing so many of them over the past few weeks. My car, I've had my car out of action, which has been stressful for a couple of days. So I got it back yesterday. I had the radiator crack, and then apparently the fluid spilled out onto the starter engine and a starter motor and shorted it out. So I had to get both the radiator and the starter replaced. So my car has been out of action. So that's always stressful. I hate car problems. They're always stressful. But I got that back yesterday and I'm getting back in action here. All right. Last night I was working to try to get something ready for Halloween for the cultist. You know, I like to do something with the cultist for Halloween. Originally I played the Cultists like the first year or something. I played the Cultists on like a 24-hour loop as a live stream, and I thought about doing something like that again. But then I realized that we've got so much that like the behind the scenes with the director Brianna and that I did and things like that, and the commentary and the watch party with the actors that are there. That really that's what should play. And so I was trying to put together a um, like a stream that like combined all of those. Well, that's a lot of footage. Like I actually think that it could go for, I mean, at least 12. So it could play in a 12 hour. So it could go in like play twice or something. Well, my computer trying to edit together 12 hours worth of video basically wasn't happening. I kind of got it to happen. I did kind of make it happen. But then when I went to upload it, because the idea was that, oh, well, then what I'll do is I'll just schedule the stream and then have this video uploaded to a StreamYard, and then it'll play. And then, I can be in the comments, but, it'll start and then just run. But the actually then after I had created the super long video, I didn't know why I didn't think about this. StreamYard only allows you to do 4 hours anyway, like upload a 4-hour long video. So I was like, oh, sucks. So then I had to go back. Maybe I shouldn't be spending so much time on this, but then I went back to try to do a 4-hour edit, which I did get last night. And then I was like, okay, now I've got to edit to upload that to StreamYard, set that to upload. That was late last night. And then went to sleep and then realized the power went out last night or whatever. So I had to power back on my computer. And of course I didn't get the 4-hour upload. So I'm going to have to do that again. I'm going to be leaving for this afternoon. So I'm going to try to upload that again. Maybe it'll be here when I get back, and then just do a second stream. That'll be like an 8-hour, a second 4-hour stream. So it'll be like 8 hours or something of the watch parties and the commentary and things like that for Halloween. That way, maybe some people, there are a lot of people who have come in for Cthulhu's ABCs that have never seen things like that and might want a place to hang out for Halloween. So that's what I'm trying to get done for Halloween. So I've been doing that over the past days while the car was out. Feels like it took forever. I've also been working on making pages for Rabivania, which is going to be the next project after the Cthulhu's ABCs Kickstarter, which we're still just waiting on. I did post about the book to Facebook and about the book being available for pre-order to go out, and that video has been watched 21,000 times, I noticed this morning, so that's good. So people like that on Facebook. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. So we're taking a look. We got the PDF here of Draw Steel. And I kind of want to look just straight into combat. Notice these are not clickable here, but we do have combat to just go to right into, because we went through, I think we basically went through the basics yesterday about what this was, or not, it wasn't yesterday. Like my sense of time is completely off. We went through the basics. I kind of want to look at combat, since that seems to be a major focus here. And then, but we may have to go and take a look a little bit at the classes, because I have a feeling that they've all got a bunch of different powers and things like that you're supposed to know. So, hey, I do have some water this morning. I'm drinking water. I've got it in the Witch's Brew mug. So let's breathe and sip here. Let's take 2 deep breaths, and then, or 2 sips, 2 deep breaths, and then a sip of our favorite beverage. That's it. Here we go. Let's breathe. And sip. All right, let's go. So I know James Bacon has played this and has played the combat. So, I mean, do you have a recommendation there, James, at all? Can I just go straight over to combat, or is there something that I should look at in like ancestries or classes that will give us an idea of what were those page numbers? How to understand what's going on here. So like ancestry start on page 21. 21, classes on page 69, and then combat on 265. Let's go. I'm already on page 97. It's a lot. This looks like, okay, like here is orc, for instance. The orcs have like a Klingon looking forehead. Okay, like orc as we go by. So orc heroes have access to the following traits. Relentless. Whenever a creature deals damage that leaves you dying, you can make a free strike against any creature. If that creature is reduced to 0 by your strike, you can spend a recovery. Purchased orc traits. You have 3 ancestry points to spend on the following traits: quick build, glowing recovery, and grounded. Blood, fire, rush. Okay, let's see what Bacon says. Bacon says, I like a lot of what's done with the races and classes, but I think starting with montages or social challenges might be best. They'll show you how deeply mechanized everything is. Oh, okay. But okay, so there are traits: nonstop, grounded. Okay, so that actually says purchased orc traits. Here are your glowing recovery. Like your blood fire allows you to regain your strength quicker than others. Whenever you use catch, breath, maneuver, you can spend as many recoveries as you like. Grounded. In magic, the magic in your blood makes it difficult for others to move you. You have a +1 bonus to stability. Okay, so lots of traits there based on your ancestry. Here, okay, moving through classes. Oh, okay. Lots of definitions of things on the grid. All of this isn't like critical hits and things like that. This is all in classes. Whenever you make an ability roll as a main action, the roll is a natural 19 or 20, a total of 19 or 20 before adding your characteristic scores, you get a critical hit. You immediately take an additional action after resolving the power roll, whether or not it's your turn, and even if you are dazed. Let's see what Bacon here recommends. So montages or social challenges. Oh yeah. So if BGD says if M sees orcs or reskinned Klingons, then I accept the validity of this system. And that Bacon says that they kind of are. Blood Fury ability, very Klingon. I don't think they're into being viewed that way. So like montages and where do I find information on that? Montages or social challenges? Oh, like maybe under tests? As I go by, maybe we can get an idea of what a class is like. Because there's a lot of looks like this is all of our different conditions. Prone, bleeding, slowed, taunted. Okay, like here. Okay, so sensor. So here, I guess this is a class, sensor. Starting characteristics, you start with a might of 2 and a presence of 2, and you can choose one of the following arrays for your other characteristic scores. Weak potency, average potency, strong. So weak potency is presence. Is that -2? Average potency is presence -1. Strong potency, presence. Presence is one of our starting ability scores. Starting stamina, first level 21. Stamina gained at second and higher levels 9. Recoveries 12. Okay, there are a lot of these recoveries. We're talking about spending those. Okay, going to tests. Okay. First levels, it didn't tell me what a sensor was, right? Oh no, I guess up here. So a sensor is a demon and deathless. Demons and deathless fear you. Criminals run from the sight of your shadow. Agents of chaos, blasphemers, and heretics tremble at the sound of your voice. You carry the power of the gods, armed with wrath and sent out into the world, first to seek, then censor those actions or even existence, an anathema to your church. As a censor, you're best against the strongest foes. Your judgment terrifies heretics, stops enemies in their tracks, and even hurls them across the battlefield. Censor order. Now, I thought there were going to be a lot of features for a class. Yeah, this is page 3. Page 3 describing this class. I think going on to page 4, 5, all like repent. 3, wrath. You conjure memories of their sins to harry your foes. Magic ranged strike. 1 creature, power roll plus presence. Here's our greater than or less than 11, 12 to 16, 17 plus. That was our different types of success, right? 2nd level features. Wow. 4th level features. 5th level features. 6th level features. 7th level features. 8th. This is dense. 10th level. I think it only goes to 10th. Yeah, okay. So each class has quite a bit of information. A lot of crunch here. Okay, let's see if we can get down to page 245 to look at what Bacon was talking about, because this is all going to be classes for a while. I guess it does make sense that this is the Heroes book. I'm not sure what other books there are. This is the Hero book. 4th level features. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 7, perks. Complications. Okay, tests right here. Okay. So I guess this is kind of like how to play right here. Oh, Better with Bacon says Heroes and Monsters, just the 2 books. Okay, so there's a monster book. Okay, so there's not like a Game Master's Guide. I saw there was something about I think they're called the Director or something in this. So it's like a monster book. Okay, so when to make a test. The director should ask the player to make a test only when the player's hero attempts a task where the consequences of failure are interesting or dramatic, and where failure won't grind the story to a halt. For example, if the hero wants to leap over a waist-high wall while casually walking through a peaceful city neighborhood, the worst case for the failure is probably the hero falls on their butt, takes no damage, and can stand up or try again or walk around the wall. As such, no test is required. But the hero being chased by enemies, failing to leap over the wall means the pursuers catch them, so the director might decide to call for a test to determine what happens. The advancement of story shouldn't be halted by a failing test. For instance, the heroes might need to know the color of the dwarf king's crown to solve a puzzle. With that puzzle opening the only entrance to the tomb, they must enter to stop a world-ending ritual. It could be that a successful reason test allows the heroes to recall that lore, but the test shouldn't be their only option to get the information. If the test fails, perhaps the heroes need to go to a flying library to do research, or they might be able to delve into the ruin of an ancient monarch's portrait and find an ancient monarch's portrait. The test should always result in a story becoming more interesting, not in the action coming to an end. We found that kind of paragraph in a lot of books now. Okay, how to make a test. The director decides a hero's activities call for a test and then asks the hero's player to make a power roll using the appropriate characteristics. See characteristics and tests below. The director then selects a difficulty for the power roll, either secretly or publicly. The player then makes the power roll. If the character has a skill that applies to the tests, they can ask the director if the skill applies and justify the use of the skill. If the director agrees the skill applies, the hero gains a +2 bonus to the roll. There was the advantage and disadvantage equivalent in this. And then also there was the ability to get a bonus. So I guess that's an example of a bonus. So, okay, so the skill provides a +2 bonus. When you describe a task you want your hero to undertake, and the director determines that a test is necessary, then they determine which characteristic the test uses based on the nature of the check. For instance, if you're scaling a wall, the director could ask for a might test or determine how far, how quickly you're able to climb. If you're attempting to plead your innocence in court for murder, you didn't commit, the director might ask for a presence test. If you're attempting to win over the jury with your personality, a reason test. If you're laying out a logical argument to support your innocence. Though the director can decide to call for tests in any circumstances, a high number of tasks the heroes routinely undertake are commonly set up as tasks. Okay, might, agility, reason, intuition, when to use them, and presence. Okay, the influencing player characters with tests. This says the things player characters do can't be influenced by a creature making a test, whether a monster, an NPC, or another character. Many players feel their agency is taken away if they're compelled to jump into a pile of gold filled with hidden scorpions because an NPC convinced them to do so with a presence test. For most players, it's not fun to be in control of a hero and then lose some of that control. Instead, directors should do their best to have NPCs suggest that the character dive headlong into gold like a billionaire duck, then let the player decide what the character does. Similarly, a director might decide one player character can't make an intuition test to discern another PC's motivation or honesty. That said, if everyone in your gaming group decides to lift one or more of these restrictions after talking about it, go for it. There's no wrong way to play as long as everyone is having fun. The MCDM Safety Toolkit discusses how to talk about potentially problematic topics such as limiting character agency at your table. Okay, difficulties. Okay, decide whether it's medium, easy, medium, or hard. If a test seems like it's easier than easy, no test is necessary. On a test-by-test basis, the director can share the difficulty of a task before the player makes the test, which makes interpreting the outcome faster at the table. The director can also keep a test's difficulty secret until after the player rolls the test for dramatic effect. The test difficulty shows all possible outcomes of the different tests. Okay, so we got this chart here that says the power roll, and remember, okay, less than 11 is tier 1, or equal to or less than 11 is tier 1, 12 to 16 tier 2, and 17 plus, or natural 19 and 20, which we said was the critical. Easy test outcomes, medium test outcomes, and hard test outcomes. Whenever the rules talk about obtaining a success on a test, well, okay, so what the matrix says, okay, power roll less than 11 or less. If it's easy, success with a consequence. Medium is failure, and hard test is failure with a consequence. So this is one of these where we have to come up with rewards and consequences. I wonder what it's going to tell us to do on the fly about that. I was thinking about this the other day again, that the partial successes, the success with consequences or failures or whatever, that can be really easy to write, but I find sometimes that's more difficult to implement at the table in creative, satisfying ways than you might like. Whenever the rules talk about obtaining success on a test, that includes a straight success, a success with a consequence, or a success with a reward. Whenever the rules talk about failure, that includes straight failure, a failure, or a failure with a consequence. Because we got success with reward, success with a reward. So natural 19 or 20, natural 19 or 20 on both easy or on all three, easy, medium, and hard, are success with a reward. Okay, but we only have failure or failure with a consequence. But really, we only have failure with consequence on a hard outcome that's a tier 1 roll. That's a failure with a consequence. Mediums fail on 11, the tier 1, and the hard also fails on tier 2. So it's kind of biased here for success. I mean, which I guess makes sense, especially when you add in the natural 19 or 20, which is going to be a success with a reward. But remember, we're rolling 2d10, right? So we're using the bell curve here. So the natural 19 and 20 are less common than what 10% would be if we were rolling a d20. So that's you're rolling high when you're rolling 2d10. You roll a 19 or a 20. So you get success with the rewards. How do we adjudicate this? Okay, so this is just spelling out what we just saw in that table. It says whenever you get the 19 or 20 on the power roll for a test, a total of 19 or 20 before adding the characteristic score or other modifiers, you score a critical success. This automatically lets you succeed on the test with a reward, even if the test has a medium or hard difficulty. So failure with a consequence is if you fail a hard test and incur a consequence, you don't do what you set out to do, in addition to which you suffer an impactful setback. The director determines the exact nature of the consequence, which is typically related to the specific task. For instance, if a hero suffers a consequence while trying to climb a wall, they might make it halfway up the wall and then fall, taking damage and landing prone. A hero trying to sneak by cultists might be spotted by the foes, who immediately attack. If a consequence strikes when a hero attempts to bribe a prison guard, the guard might decide to arrest the hero or lead them into a trap. A hero suffering a consequence on a reason test might recall lore about the king's favorite meal, though they might confuse it for a dish with which the monarch is deathly allergic. So, okay, so because we've got reasoning tests, so this has got to apply to that. So we've got to be able to come up with like failure with consequences, or success with a consequence. No, success with a consequence. Failure with consequence. There is success with consequence. So a tier 2 medium check is success with consequence. Success with consequence. Hey, Charlie, good to see you. Okay, yeah, okay. We also have to adjudicate, come up with success with consequence. So not all consequences need to be immediate or apparent. For instance, a hero might fail with a consequence on a test made to cheat at a high-stakes game of cards with a noble. The failure means the cheating is noticed, but the director decides the noble doesn't say anything. The consequence isn't made apparent until later in the evening when the noble has the guards surround the hero, intent on taking the cheater down to the dungeon for stacking the deck. Common consequences for failing a test include the following. So we do have some examples here, which I like. Making an NPC so upset that they storm off or betray, attack, or otherwise attempt to harm you. Drawing the attention of a group of foes. Triggering a trap or hazard that captures significantly harms your ally. Breaking an important piece of equipment that is difficult to replace or repair. Oh, really? Charlie just says, got the books yesterday, playing in a campaign as well for Draw Steel. Oh, well, that's quick action. getting the books and getting into action on the campaign. I was able to turn the font size. I now have an option to turn the font size of the comments on the screen up a little bit. So I think they're actually readable now, or at least readable the way that I've got them, because the text was smaller. And I could see that there was some kind of comment up there the way that I have it arranged on my monitor, but I couldn't actually read them. So now I can actually read them as they go by on the screen. Which I like. Okay, so drawing the attention of a group of foes, triggering a trap or hazard that captures or significantly harms you or an ally, breaking an important piece of equipment that's difficult to replace or repair, thinking you know something that you don't, getting stuck in a situation that must be resolved with a negotiation or montage test. Okay, that's what montage test. Bacon was talking about that earlier, so I don't think we've gotten to that yet. In lieu of the other consequences, the director has the option to gain 2 additional malice, a resource that creatures run by the director use in combat at the start of the next combat encounter. See, to me, that seems like something that would happen a lot. That seems like the default. We can't think of something. What's something creative right here? Because to me, that often, I don't know like how this particular game runs, but this just seems like something that often kind of slows down the game. And we've talked about that. Also trying to make sure that the consequence is logical. The climbing the pterodactyls attack you that weren't there before. at the top of the mountain because you failed your climbing check or got some kind of success with a consequence or something at the top. And then, of course, depending on the game system, being attacked by pterodactyls may or may not be that big a deal. So here's something that I can't think of something after a certain amount of time. Okay, so the directors can get 2 malice in the next, which we haven't read about yet, but there's a default bonus for the directors. Okay, fails. If you fail a test without incurring a consequence, you simply don't do what you set out to do. A hero attempting to climb a wall finds no purchase. A hero trying to recall lore can't remember the desired facts. If a hero attempts to bribe a guard, they don't take the bait. On a failed test, the director can decide there might still be a small penalty for failure depending on the circumstances of the test. This penalty shouldn't be as harsh as rolling a failure with a consequence, though. For instance, a hero who gets this outcome on an agility test might sneak by a group of cultists, might draw the attention of one cultist with their failure. Now that cultist is coming to investigate, but they haven't raised the alarm yet. When a hero rolls a failure without a consequence, the director can offer to let them succeed with a consequence instead. Okay, that's important. So if you roll failure without a consequence, you can opt for succeed with a consequence instead. For instance, when a hero rolls a 10 on a medium might test to break down a locked door, that's a failure and the door stays closed. But the director could suggest the player, instead of not breaking down the door, they can break down the door and lose 1d6 stamina from being injured for the effort. Okay, success with a consequence. If you succeed on a test and incur a consequence, you do what you set out to do, but with an added cost. The hero might succeed in climbing a wall, but the surface of the wall crumbles and becomes unstable as they do, making the climb more difficult for the ally ascending after them. When trying to sneak by a cultist, the hero successfully does so, but leaves footprints or other evidence of trespassing behind. If a hero bribes a guard to be allowed to sneak into a prison, the guard lets them in, but demands a gemstone the hero needs for an important crafting project before they let the heroes out. Just like failure with a consequence, the consequences accompanying success don't need to be immediately apparent. In lieu of other consequences, the director has the option to gain 2 additional malice at the start of the next combat encounter. Again, kind of like the default. How often did that come up, Bacon? This kind of adjudication here, did that work well in your game? When a hero rolls a success with a consequence, the director might give them a chance to fail instead. Okay, so you can go backward here as well. So, for instance, if a hero is a 10 on an easy agility test to pick the lock on a test, that's a success with a consequence. The director could suggest the character has opened the lock but broken their lock picks in the process, knowing the picks can't be replaced until the hero returns to town, but can also give them the option of failing to pick the lock but keeping their lock picks intact. So you kind of, the outcome. Did you know the outcome with the... There was no changing something with the failure with a consequence because you've rolled as poor as you can. Failure, succeed. If you succeed on a test without consequences or reward, so you can increase. You can choose to succeed on a failure. Oh, basically, you can swap failure and success with a consequence. I mean, provided the director allows it. But if you fail, you can choose to succeed with the consequence instead. Instead of succeeding with the consequence, you can choose to just fail. I want to have, in this lock picking situation, failing to pick the lock but keeping the lock picks intact. That's only consequential, right? If the judgment is that you just can't pick that lock. You can't roll it. I mean, I didn't specifically see anything about rolling a second time or trying again. That may come up. But like, okay, I don't want to break my lock picks. I'll just fail and then try again next turn. That's much more consequential if you can't do that and just, okay, the lock is beyond you. Can't open it, but you got your lock picks. Success with a reward. If you succeed on a test with a reward, you accomplish whatever you set out to do, but you also gain a little something extra in the form of momentum or luck that makes the immediate future easier for you or your friends. The director determines the reward for success, which is most often related to the task at hand. For instance, if a hero succeeds with a reward while climbing a wall, they might find a ladder at the top they can lower so that allies climbing up after them can do so without needing to make a test. A hero trying to sneak by cultists who succeeds with a reward, that's kind of like changing the world, right? We've talked about that. So the die roll could potentially change the world. The ladder is at the top instead of like the success with the consequence. The pterodactyls, the hungry pterodactyls are on top. Succeed with a reward while bribing a prison guard could mean the guard unlocks a door for the hero in addition to forgetting that they were even there. With consequences, the reward that comes with success doesn't, as with consequences, the reward that comes with success doesn't need to be immediate or apparent. For example, a hero succeeds the reward on an easy test to cheat at a high-stakes game of cards with a noble. Not only does the hero win the game, but the director decides the reward comes from a servant watching the game who's impressed with the character's performance. After the game, the servant approaches them, offering magic from the noble's private stash in congratulations and admiration. Common rewards include automatically accomplishing a related follow-up task that would typically require a test, allowing an ally engaged in the same task to accomplish the task without needing to make the test as well, obtaining a consumable treasure or useful piece of mundane equipment, learning a piece of helpful information, impressing or ingratiating yourself with someone who grants you a small favor, noticing a hidden dagger well before it strikes, giving you time to avoid or prepare for it. In lieu of other rewards, the director can also decide that a hero who succeeds in the test with a reward earns the player a hero token. Okay, this addresses the idea situation. Optional rule, pitching consequences and rewards. Coming up with consequences and rewards for tests can be a big part of the fun for many directors, but even the best directors occasionally run low on ideas. That's why the game gives the default option of consequences and rewards in the form of malice and hero tokens. However, a director who prefers narrative consequences and rewards can ask the players to pitch different consequences and rewards when they make a test. The director can reject, add to, or modify the player's ideas as they choose, and will remind the player they need to pitch real consequences, not minor rewards disguised as consequences. Oh, here's Can I Try Again? In many cases, when you fail a test, you can't attempt the test again unless the circumstances of the test change. For instance, if you attempt an agility test to pick a lock and fail, this is exactly what we were just talking about. You can't attempt to pick the lock again unless you get better lock picks, oil the lock, have someone demonstrate how to pick a similar lock, and so on. The director decides when the circumstances have changed enough to allow a new attempt at the test. Opposed power rolls. When two creatures are engaged in a particularly dramatic struggle that require them both to make tests, the director can have all creatures involved to make a test. The creature with the highest power roll wins. You can't earn a reward as part of these opposed power rolls, and they don't follow the typical difficulty structure or have 3 different tiers of possible outcomes. So you're just rolling high, trying to roll high against somebody. Applying skills, we said that's +2. Justify the skill. Skill groups. Okay. Assist on a test. Excuse me. Let's try to go down to combat. 165. Oh, wait, I just saw the word. Oh, here's montage tests. Okay, before we go there, this is what Bacon talked about. So let's go to montage tests. When a group of heroes work together over time to accomplish a common goal that requires more than a single characteristic, the director can call for a montage tests. Such tests typically take place over a prolonged period and focus on collective or shared activities, navigating a vast desert, convincing farmers to rise up against a tyrannical leader, and performing a ritual to open a magically sealed gate can all be accomplished with montage tests. In a montage test, the players take turns making tests as their characters tackle a test together in a montage test round. Each hero has a chance to make a test or to assist another's test. See assisting a test above, intending to influence the outcome of the task. A hero can also spend their turn using an item, ability, or other option they have available they believe will help the montage test. The director decides if a clever action gives the hero 2 automatic successes in the montage test. Cinematic montage action scene in the game. This is what this is intending to simulate here. You should only do this when engaged in overcoming a goal that has stakes to the story and some sort of pressure, such as a looming deadline or impending harm. A montage test is great for a race to get to another location before an enemy army does, a chase to escape or catch up with a foe, weathering a hazard, preparing a village for war, or similar activities. Low or no stakes activities such as traveling through a forest with no time pressure or training during a respite to use a new kit can be narrated in montage style, but they don't require this test. So the director sets the scene, and then the difficulties for the individual tests are set by the director. We've got the same guidelines apply for individual tests. Set each success or failure as it relates to the overall goal of the montage test. The director should couch each success or failure as it relates to the overall goal of the montage test. If the heroes are trying to reach an ancient temple, failing a might test to ford a river in their path doesn't mean they don't cross the river and are stuck on the other side, but it could mean failing to cross the river in a timely manner gives the rival group of villains a chance to beat the party to the temple. An individual character can't use the same skill more than once in a montage test. Though multiple heroes can use the same skill, a test or assist with the specific skill represents each character's entire contribution to the montage test with that skill. At the director's discretion, this restriction can be lifted for prolonged montage tests or for montage tests that are limited in scope and have a small number of skills that apply to them. Montage difficulty. Oh, there's quite a bit to this. Okay. Montage. Okay, the director determines the success limit and failure limit of a montage test. They can share this information or keep it secret depending on what feels like the most fun and dramatic for the players at the time. In general, the higher the success limit, the harder and more complicated it is for the heroes to overcome the montage test, since a hero can't make the same test twice. The montage test difficulty table gives a recommended success limit and failure limit for easy, moderate, and hard montage tests for groups of 5 heroes. And then it gives you ways to adjust. So like a montage test difficulty, it's saying that a moderate one needs 6 successes and I guess can tolerate 4 failures. Because if the heroes hit the success limit before hitting the failure limit, or before time runs out for the test, they succeed or they achieve total success. If the heroes hit the failure limit or time runs out, and they've achieved at least 2 more successes than failures, they achieve a partial success. Seems like it will be hard to do that. The achieved 2 more successes than failures seems like that's going to happen most of the time because you ran out of time. Oh, did it freeze? I saw your comment come up. But on the other hand, hard takes 7 successes and can tolerate 3 failures. So I guess if you got all the way to 6 successes and then hit your 3 failures, that would be a partial success. If heroes hit the failure limit or the time runs out, they don't have at least, if the heroes hit the failure limit or time runs out, and if they don't have at least 2 more successes than failures, they suffer total failure. Sample montage test. Ordinarily, I would probably be interested in that, but that's okay. But well, it's a bit long for right now. Let's at least try to look at some combat here for the time that I've got. When the heroes face a problem that can be solved with only action, or when they come up against a creature who wanted to harm them, it's time to throw down. And we are doing this positioning miniatures or tokens on a gridded map to represent the environment, the heroes, their foes, or other creatures on the battle. 5-foot squares, creature size by square, I guess. Combat starts as soon as one creature intends to harm another, or when environmental effect is in position to deal damage to impose or impose other negative effects on more creatures. It means that even before that happens, a hero can't use a heroic ability without spending the heroic resource on it because combat has already begun. So here we've got the example on the grid here. Determine surprise. Director determines which creatures, if any, are caught off guard. Determine who goes first. Sometimes figuring out who gets the first turn in combat is automatic. If a creature on one side is surprised, then a creature on the other side gets to act first. But if both sides have creatures who aren't surprised, the director or player they choose rolls a d10. On a 6 or higher, the player determines who goes first, the hero side or the other side. Otherwise, the director decides who goes first. First, creatures take turns. Okay, everybody can act once. It seems like that's what's saying here in a round, determining who acts next. When it comes to the hero side, the choice of who should act next is intended to give the players the opportunity to comment, strategize, and plan. Some tables and some encounters might find the choice of who should act next isn't obvious, leading to debate. That's fine. Deliberating about what the group should do next is classic role-playing. In general, though, most groups find there's usually 1 or 2 players in a given round who think it's best if they act next. And as soon as the player explains why they want to act next and what they plan on doing, the issue is quickly resolved. Is that quick? Okay, argument timer is next. So there is no initiative. It's going side by side. Who was going first? Game master running the monsters. But the players get to decide who acts in what order. If the players do end up arguing in circles about what to do next, so I guess this is encouraging them to intentionally deliberate and strategize in the middle of combat about what the optimal thing to do is. But if the players do end up arguing in circles about what to do next, the director can place a timer on the discussion, usually giving players a warning and 30 seconds to decide who goes next as the trick. If they can't choose by the end of that time, the director chooses a hero to act. Charlie says that combat can take a lot of time because there are so many options. And that seems certainly the case looking at the classes, that you've got lots of options for your classes. If planning everyone's turn order isn't fun for your group as an alternative, you can leave it to the dice instead. At the start of combat, have each hero, enemy, or group make an agility test and record their totals. When it's time for someone on the hero side to act, the hero with the highest total goes first. On the hero's next turn, the heroes with the second highest total goes, and so forth. Enemies act in groups, taking turns. When in combat, whether hero, adversary, or something in between, gets to take a main action, a maneuver, or a move action on their turn. Oh, and a main action. I think we did see that already. Maybe that was on the character sheet. Main action, maneuver, and a move action. Each combatant can perform their maneuver and main action in any order and can break up their movement granted by their move before, after, or between their maneuver and action, however they like. You can also turn your main action into a move action or a maneuver so that your turn can alternatively consist of 2 move actions and a maneuver, or 2 maneuvers and a move action. So it's Bacon says also turns are taken by committee as a design also turns are all taken by committee as a design feature. This can slow combat way down as the group decides what to do. All right, you see, I can also go wide with that now. I was wondering what that does when I call up one of them. I kind of like, and I can also go tall with that now. I don't know. Yeah, so this is turn-based, tactical, and discussive. Triggered actions and free actions. A hero might have one or more unique triggered actions. A free action follows the same rules as a triggered action, but doesn't count against your limit for one triggered action per round. For instance, a shadow hero can use their high station is weakness. Hesitation. Hesitation is weakness ability to take their turn in response to the trigger of another hero ending their turn. Because the abilities of free triggered action, the shadow can still use their all this confusion triggered action later in the round. Boring stuff doesn't require a maneuver or an action. It says boring stuff like unlocking a door, picking up an arrow from the ground, or giving an object to an adjacent ally. No action activities. Okay, movement. Heroes start with a speed granted by their ancestry, usually 5. All squares adjacent to your character cost 1 point of movement to move into. No, there's no Pythagorean theorem on the grid. It's just a game. Don't overthink it. Your hero can move freely through an ally's space. You may move through an enemy space, but that space is difficult terrain. You can't. So you can move through an enemy space, but that's difficult terrain. You can't stop moving in any other creature's space, including to make a strike or use a main action or maneuver. At the director's discretion, you can be forced into the same space as another creature whose size is within one of yours, such as by falling down a narrow shaft, with such a creature already at the bottom. When you're squeezed in the same space as another creature whose size is within one of yours, your ability rolls and test takes a bane. Dave says, it feels like they overthought it. It's just a game. Don't overthink it. This is quite the book. A single move or other effect can never allow a creature to move more squares than their speed unless the effect states otherwise. For example, a creature with a speed 5 might have that speed reduced to 2 by the slowed condition. If an ally then targets them with an effect that allows them to move up to 3 squares, the creature can move only 2 squares because that's their current speed. Can't cut corners. A creature can move diagonally can't move diagonally when doing so would involve passing through the corner of a wall or some object. So can't do this right here. No, the diagonal path cuts the corner of the building, so cannot be done. Shifting is a form of movement that allows a creature to move safely past dangerous foes. Certain abilities, features, and other rules that allow you to shift a specific number of squares, sometimes up to your speed. Whenever you shift, creatures can't make opportunity attacks against you triggered by that movement. Movement types: walk, burrow, dig maneuver, targeting burrowing creatures, non-burrowing creatures, burrowing as forced movement, climbing and swimming, jumping, crawling, flying, hovering, teleporting, falling onto another creature, falling far, difficult terrain. If a creature falls from a great height, they fall 100 squares in the first round. At the end of each subsequent round, they remain falling. They fall another 100 squares. Difficult terrain, damaging terrain, high ground, forced movement, vertical movement, big versus little. Still feeling that way, Dave. Slamming into creatures. slamming into objects, hurling through objects, forced into a fall, maneuvers. Okay, so here are there's action, move, and maneuver. So maneuvers typically involve less focus or exertion than main actions. They can be an opportunity to move other creatures, drink a potion, or undertake activities. Sometimes you might not have anything you can do with your maneuver. That's fine. Often the best thing to do on your turn is to take a main action and move on. Acid action. No, acid action. Aid attack. I don't know. Where did that come from? Aid attack. A creature uses the aid attack maneuver, chooses an enemy adjacent to them. The next ability an ally makes against that enemy before the start of the aiding creature's next turn gains an edge. Catch breath. A creature who uses catch breath maneuver spends a recovery and gains stamina equal to their recovery value. A creature who is dying can't use catch breath maneuver, but other creatures can help them spend recoveries in other ways. Escape grab. Grab. It always looks like a magic spell or something with all the symbols and stuff. But I think it said that you could download the glyphs. Knockback. Make or assist a test. Search for hidden creatures. Stand up. Use consumable. Main actions. When you take a main action, I don't know. I enjoy both types of gaming. I enjoy the more narrative kinds of stuff. I played, and Bacon did too, and we played with BGD recently in his Noir game. And, we did that. The amount of actual rules that required in order to do that was very low. We didn't actually, I didn't even interact with a lot of the abilities. I should have. I thought about something later that I should have done, but I didn't think of it at the time for different reasons. But we were just rolling. We were basically just rolling ability scores. I mean, for the most part. I mean, the amount of rules that were required to do that were very, very minimal, and it was a fantastic game. Yeah, Better with Bacon says fantastic game. The two games that I played, it was actually part of an ongoing or part of a series, first and second game, where some of my it's right up there with my favorite gaming experiences, especially the nightclub scene in the first game. I thought was fantastic, and that required a lot. It didn't require very much. It's also an illustration of that you can do a fantastic game without a gigantic thing of rules. But on the other hand, I do personally like games like here that have spawned, come from Hero Quest. I came from Hero Quest. A Hero Quest, I've never played Advanced Hero Quest, but things like that. And then we got into Warhammer Quest. I do like those. That okay, we're it's like an adventure game kind of thing. So this is kind of the hybrid of those, and I guess that Warhammer Fantasy has kind of done that as well. This is a lot. It's probably closer to the kind of thing that I would have liked many years ago, which when I was playing GURPS, and that was kind of my go-to system for everything, and was very active on their servers, which there's going to be a new GURPS, like a GURPS Revised 4th edition. I'm excited to know what they're doing with that. BG says that was such a fun game. It was grateful to have you guys. Thank you very much for running it. Okay, so main actions are things like charge, move up their speed in a straight line, and then make a melee free strike against their target when they end their move. The creature has an ability to charge keyword. If the creature has an ability with a charge keyword, they can use that ability against the target instead of the free strike. Can't move through difficult terrain or shift when they charge. They can fly or burrow as part of the charge main action if they have the movement available to them. But they can't climb or swim while charging unless they automatically use that movement at full speed. Defend. When a creature takes the defend main action, ability rolls made against them have a double bane until the start of their next turn. Additionally, you have a double edge on tests when called for to resist environmental effects. Okay, I was trying to remember what the banes were, but I do now. So bane, It was +2 or no, -2. The boon was +2. If it's doubled, then it starts to cap your tier, your ability to have a success tier, right? Or certain tiers that you can achieve. Like always increases it by 1 or decreases it by 1. I think that was it. Free strike. A creature can use this main action to make a free strike. See free strikes below. Most of the time, you'll want to use the more impactful main actions granted by your class, kit, or other features. Just the director will use the main actions on the creature's stat block. But free strikes are available for when all else fails. For instance, a Fury who has no other options for ranged strikes might use the ranged weapon's free strike ability with an improvised weapon when battling a flying foe. Heal. A creature uses the heal main action, employs a medicine or inspiring words to make adjacent creature feel better and stand up in the fight and stay in the fight. The target creature can spend a recovery to gain stamina, or can make a saving throw against one effect they are using, ended by a saving throw. So what is a free strike? Every creature can use a free strike ability as a main action on their turn, though doing so typically isn't the most effective choice. Most of the time, you'll use free strikes when the rules call for it. Specific rules let you use free strikes as part of an action that allows you to do something else impactful, such as how the charge main action lets you move and use a melee free strike as a main action. Okay, granted, there is opportunity attack. When a creature has an enemy adjacent to them and the enemy willingly moves into a space that isn't adjacent to the creature without shifting, the creature can take advantage of that movement to quickly make a melee free strike against the enemy as a free triggered action. This is called an opportunity attack. If the creature has a Bane or double Bane on the power roll against the enemy, they can't make an opportunity attack. Standard free strikes. What is this saying? Like, what is our code here trying to tell us? Melee weapon, free strike. Charge, melee, strike, weapon. Main action. I guess that's range, maybe. Melee 1. Targets one creature or object. Power roll plus might or agility. And then this is your damage, I guess. 11 or less, 2 plus might or agility damage. 12 to 16 is 5 plus might or agility damage. 17 is 7 plus might or agility damage. Likewise, ranged weapon free strike. 2, 4, 6. Slightly less. At a range of 5. Flanking. When you and one or more allies are adjacent to the same enemy on an opposite side of the enemy, you are flanking the enemy. This says not flank. Oh, because this guy's dazed over here. Cover, concealment. Okay, here's damage. Okay, so how do you hurt someone? Okay, we've been going for an hour here. But let's take a look at damage. Okay, so whenever a creature takes damage, they reduce their stamina by amount equal to the damage taken. Typical damage, such as that caused by weapons, falling, traps, and monstrous claws, have no type associated with it. That's because for most creature, there's no difference in the amount of harm caused by being run through with a pike, dropped from a height onto a stone floor, slashed with a pendulum scythe, or skewered by a minotaur's horn. When it comes to elemental and supernatural damage sources, some creatures have immunity or weakness to that damage. As such, abilities and effects note that they may deal acid, cold, corruption, holy, etc. We also have damage immunity. If a hero has fire immunity 5 and takes 8 fire damage, they take 3. If an ally first halved the damage of the triggering action, your hero would take 4 damage before immunity, and so 0. Damage weakness works like damage immunity, except the creature takes extra damage when they take damage of the indicated type. For instance, if a creature has fire weakness 5 and is dealt 5 fire damage, they take 15 fire instead. So stamina is like our hit points. If your hero's survivability is represented by your stamina, think of your stamina as a combination of creatures' physical ability, physical vitality, and their overall energy for dodging and resisting incoming blows, spells, and other violence. It's not that every instance of damage deals a bleeding wound to you, but that each one chips away at your ability to fight effectively. One attack might make you sweat as you leap back to avoid an arrow, while another might graze your elbow with a dagger nick, leaving a dull, distracting pain. Eventually, this draining of energy leaves you open for bigger blows that can truly harm your body or possibly kill you. After any damage you take is reduced by damage immunity or other effects, your stamina is reduced by an equal amount equal to the remaining damage. Recoveries. Use catch breath maneuver to spend a recovery and gain stamina equal to your recovery value. Outside of combat, you can spend as many recoveries as you have remaining. Winded. Your winded value, okay, I remember seeing that on the character sheet, is half of your stamina. When your stamina is equal to or less than your winded value, you are winded, although being winded has no effect on its own. Certain ancestries, class, item, title, and monster abilities affect winded creatures. You can tell when other creatures are winded and vice versa. When your stamina is 0 or lower, you are dying. While dying, you can't use the catch breath maneuver in combat. Additionally, if you are bleeding, and the instance of the condition can't be negated or removed in any way until you are, additionally, if you are bleeding, additionally, you are bleeding. Okay, that I saw that as a condition. And this instance of the condition can't be negated or removed in any way until you are no longer dying. When you are dying, you can still act. Your allies can help you spend recoveries in combat, and you can spend recoveries out of combat as usual. While your stamina is lower, when your stamina is lower than 0, if it reaches the negative of your winded value, you die. When you die, you can't be brought back to life without the use of a special powerful item, such as a scroll of resurrection. Director-controlled creatures, underwater combat, mounted combat, end of combat. Negotiation. Okay, it's just a game. Don't overthink it. Okay. In some ways, I was expecting a little bit more out of the combat section, but probably, I mean, there was a lot there, but the positioning and everything has to do with the grid here. But the damage, so everybody, but it does come down to stamina is your hit points, and you've got these recoveries. And we just noticed, like, as far as the combat, as far as the damage went, you've got your tiers of success because there's no attack roll. There's no like to hit roll, right? This is just done with 1. So you are trying to score against your own, right? So wait, so I didn't see anything about armor or about like an enemy armor class or something like that. I do think a lot about the Nimble's philosophy about like, okay, how many times do you have to do something? Subtract a number or something like that you in order that this ultimately slows things down because you have to do it so often. So maybe something like this applies here because you're rolling a power roll, which is 2d10, and then adding your might or agility for this melee weapon strike, which we're told we shouldn't really be using all that often because you've got special powers for your character. But I'm just making one roll, and then that looks like yeah, it says damage. The tier of my success is a flat value of damage plus either my might or agility, I guess whichever one I'm using. I'm going to have to go here in just a moment. But let's look at where was our okay, humans. Let's go over here. Where was that sensor we were looking at? So I bet he has a bunch of like combat traits. Let's get back to him. Careers. classes. I guess that explains why there was all this stuff here in the beginning about trying to, at the beginning of classes, about trying to understand, okay, this is how you adjudicate a 2 burst or a 1 burst or a 1 aura. Because that's probably here. Yeah, like here's characteristic and damage right here. It's actually here in this section. So certain damage dealing abilities note that damage as a number followed by a plus sign and the letter MARIP. That indicated letter means you add your characteristic score, either might, agility, reason, intuition, or presence, to the damage dealt by that ability. Using the Fury's Brutal Slam ability as an example, that ability uses a might power roll and features the following damage expressions in the 3-tier outcome of the power roll. So yeah, 3, 6, and 9 plus M. So with a might of 2, you're doing 5, 8, and 11. Some of them have effects like they push 1, push 2, push 3, or turn it like this is right here. Look at the code here. As an example, consider the Conduit's Judgment's Hammer ability. The Conduit's Judgment's Hammer ability, which has the following power roll. Power roll plus intuition. At tier 1, we're 3 plus intuition holy damage, A less than weak prone. That's average, weak, and strong potency. Because, potency, we saw that on his sheet, something about potencies. Many abilities and other effects impose conditions or unique status on targets, but creatures sometimes get a chance to resist such effects. After all, monsters with a high might should be harder to knock prone most of the time than a creature lacking that characteristic. Ability effects that have potency are applied to a target only if the effect's potency value is higher than the target's indicated characteristic score. Okay, I have to look into that in greater detail. So, but could I get an example of that? Like, here's how to write this. So like power roll, holy damage, A is less than weak prone. So that's agility. At first level, the conduit uses their intuition score to determine their potency values, and that score is 2. This gives the conduit the following potencies: weak 0, average 1, and strong 2. So when writing the Judgment's Hammer on the character sheet, the conduit's player updates the damage and converts the weak, average, and strong potencies to their numerical values, knowing that these values won't change until the player hits second echelon and their intuition score becomes 3. That produces, like on a 17 plus, 11 holy damage, A is less than 2, prone, and can't stand. Okay, so as an example, during a game session, the conduit uses the Judgment's Hammer onto a target with a bandit with an ability score, an agility score of 0. So that's the targets. So with a tier 1 outcome, 11 or lower, the ability deals 5 holy damage to the bandit, but the bandit resists the additional effect because they have an agility of 0 and thus don't have an agility of less than 0. So this is trying to figure out whether or not you're prone or not. So this is no, your potency. Your potency. This is something that's on your character sheet, but that you are referencing on the opponent's character sheet. So with tier outcome 2, the ability deals 8 damage, holy damage, but the bandit is also knocked prone, unable to resist the additional effect because they would need an agility of 1 or higher to do so. If the bandit had 1 or higher, they would have taken 8 holy damage but stayed standing. So at least they don't have to roll. So I'm noticing here that you're not rolling. You are comparing a number. Okay. In fact, this kind of reminds me of like Gloomhaven a little bit. Yeah, so don't have the bandit roll some kind of save. Now, make an agility save to make sure that you're standing up or something. We're not doing that. We're just comparing a number. And then 17 is 17 plus tier 3. We've got 11 holy damage. A is less than 2. Prone and can't stand, save ends. With a tier 3 outcome, the bandit takes 11 holy damage, is knocked flat and left struggling to stand, unable to resist the strong potency of the additional effects with a mere agility 0. We said when you score a critical hit, you get to take an additional action after resolving the power roll. We were trying to get to, okay, like Censor. Here's his weak potency, presence -1, strong is presence. Starting stamina is at first level is 21. So that's like our hit point. Starting stamina 21 and has 12 recoveries. So like judgment is range 10. You utter a prayer that outlines your foe in holy energy. Sensor abilities, signature ability. Choose one signature ability from the following options. Signature abilities can be used at will, like back blasphemer. So rather than just attack, it seems like one of his signature abilities is back blasphemer. You channel power through your weapon to repel foes. It's an area magic melee weapon and in a 2 cube within 1. Power roll plus presence. 2 holy damage, push 1. 4 holy damage, push 2. 6 holy damage, push 3. That's why it spent so much time going through, like all the what is area cube, I guess, before you in during this chapter on classes, because this is all here. So this is each enemy within that area is affected. So that's like, so that is an area attack kind of spell. Every step death. You show your foe a glimpse of their fate after death. Magic range strike, range 10, 1 creature. Deals damage, power plus presence, and psychic damage. Each time the target willingly moves before your next turn, they take 1 psychic damage for each square they move before the end of your next turn. So that's why we don't have just, hey, attack. But there were other things that had to do with movement and so forth, as far as all the different kinds of move actions and maneuvers you can take. Purifying fire, 5 wraths. Wrath must have been like his, because you've got certain types of resources too, right? So wrath, the power you serve grants you heroic resource called wrath, fueling your abilities as you censor those your church deems to be heretics. At the start of combat encounter or some other stressful situation tracked in combat rounds, you gain wrath equal to your victories. At the start of each of your turns during combat, you gain 2 wrath. So you're increasing your ability as you go through combat. Each turn, at the start of each turn, because I do remember it saying that you're getting more powerful as combat goes. You don't start with everything, but you gain wrath equal to your victories. I have to know what your victory is. Additionally, the first time each combat round a creature judged by you deals damage to you, you gain 1 wrath. The first time, the first time each combat round you deal damage to a creature judged by you, you gain 1 wrath. So some of these said down here you had to expend wrath. So you'll be doing some of these larger ones later. I mean, these are level 1 abilities. This one takes 3 wrath. Behold a shield of faith. Censored takes 5 wrath. If it's justice that you fear, takes 5 wrath. 7 wrath. Remember, didn't it say that like combat should be about 3 rounds? Be gone. 9 wrath. You terrify your enemies into retreating, creating chaos in their ranks. Another 9 wrath. 11 wrath. Excommunication. Melee. Strike. Weapon. Lots of damage. 9, 13, 18 damage. Where's the 10th level stuff? Okay. Well, I've got to get out of here. So I have enjoyed it. Okay. So there's definitely a lot to this game. This must have been a massive project to get underway. All right. I am out of here. I've got things I have to do today. I'm going to try to get that uploading for that 4-hour video uploading before I have to go. All right. I got to get out of here. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Go forth, be creative, and be constructive. Later.